And hello, and welcome to another edition of Chip Shots. Well, I hope you all had a good week out there. Weather's not been so good across the United States, really, Northeast especially, but we had a wild week of weather-plagued action on the different tours around the states, as I said, and but lots of action, and we got some familiar faces returning to the winner's circle. Let's take a look at some of the action from this week. Lucas Glover, the 41-year-old former U.S. Open champion, made four birdies in a row on the back nine en route to shooting 7 under 64, the win at John Deere Classic, by 2 strokes over Ryan Moore and Kevin Na. In doing so, Glover tasted victory for the first time since the 2011 Wells Fargo Championship, a span of 10 years, 2 months, and 3 days. His children, Lucille, 8, and Lucas Jr., 6, and wife, Krista, witnessed him win for the first time. 21 players were within 5 shots of the lead entering the final day, setting up a wild chase that did not disappoint. As Sebastian Munoz stumbled early, shanking his second shot at the opening hole, and Adam Schenk surged into the lead with his own string of 4 birdies in a 5-hole stretch. Glover caught fire beginning at number 12 with 4 birdies in a row to climb to 18 under. That, combined with a Schneck bogey at 14, gave Glover a 2-stroke lead. He tacked on one last birdie at 17 to finish at 19 under 265 and become the 7th player to win a PGA Tour event in the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. And over on the Champions Tour, they were having a major. It was the USGA US Senior Open, and Jim Furyk recovered from a rough start on Sunday in the final round of the US Senior Open to hold off Retief Goosen and Mike Weir by 3 strokes. Making his debut in the event, Furyk closed with a 1/71 to become the 8th player to win both the U.S. Open and the Senior Open, joining the likes of Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, Billy Casper, and Gary Player. Furyk finished at 7 under 273 at the Omaha Country Club. He won the regular U.S. Open in 2003 and is a 17-time winner on the PGA Tour and won his first 2 PGA Tour Champions events when he turned 50 last year. This was the 3rd senior major he's played. He tied for 16th in the Senior PGA and was 6th in the Seniors Players Championship. So, old favorite, at least one of my favorites, Jim Furyk, is gets his, I guess you'd say, his second major win as he wins the Champions Tour US Seniors Open. And good for him. Always been a big fan of Jim Furyk. He's got that wacky swing, but really a good golfer and a good guy. And so happy to see him win. Now, the ladies had a little problem with the weather and had to cancel the event, the final round of the event, the Marathon Classic. The tournament was reduced to a 54-hole event, and Nasa Hatoka was crowned the winner, according to the ladies' PGA. The LGPA, it doesn't sound like, no, LPGA said finishing the tournament on Monday instead was not an option due to the weather forecast. Hatoka had built her lead through the first 3 rounds and was named the champion when the 4th round could not be played. So congratulations to her. And on the European tour, Min Woo Lee held his nerve to collect his first Rolex Series title. And he did that in a brilliant playoff victory over Thomas Dietrich and Matt Fitzpatrick at the 2021 Aberdeen Scottish Open. The Australian started the day 3 shots behind his playoff rivals, but burst into contention thanks to a birdie blitz from the third, where he picked up 6 consecutive shots. Dietrich reclaimed the lead at 18 under at the 13th hole, but the Belgian was desperately unlucky as the horn sounded for a 90-minute delay for thunder and lightning as he was mid swing for a par putt at the 14th, and he missed that putt. Lee nudged back ahead with a birdie at the 16th, but Deidre and Fitzpatrick uh, birdied to force a playoff. The 22-year-old was inches from holding a closing putt for the win, which would have given him his second European Tour title, but he only needed one extra hole to secure the biggest win of his career. So he almost won it on the last hole, but missed the putt, had to go into the playoffs where he only needed one extra hole to take care of his compatriots. With the victory, Lee also secured one of the 3 places on offer at the upcoming Open Championship at Royal St. George's Golf Club alongside Dietrich and Englishman Jack Sr. So we will see Mr. Lee in the Open Championship this week. And in fact, his sister is Minji Lee, who plays on the LPGA Tour. So congratulations to Minwoo Lee, who got his second European title and his first big Rolex Series title. All right, let's take a breather here for a second and come back. It's time for the
Golf news of the week.
And in golf news, Argentinian golfer Angel Cabrera, a former Masters and U.S. Open champion, was sentenced Monday to 2 years in prison on charges he assaulted his former partner. A court in the province of Cordoba, 500 miles south northwest of Buenos Aires, convicted the 51-year-old of assaulting, threatening, and harassing Cecilia Torres Mana, his partner between 2016 and 2018. Cabrera, who denied in a trial any wrongdoing, will serve his sentence immediately. And the Open, unfortunately, with COVID, it's a great thing that we're playing and everybody's happy about it, but a number of players have decided to withdraw. Barbara Watson is the latest star to announce his withdrawal from the field at Royal St. George's, explaining on Twitter that he had close contact with someone who had tested positive for COVID-19. Watson said he's been vaccinated and tested negative in his pre-travel COVID-19 test, but UK protocols prevent him from boarding the charter flight to England. Getting on a charter or a commercial flight was not an option available to me after my recent exposure. I don't make the rules, but I do have to follow them, Watson wrote in the tweet. He is now among more than a half dozen players to announce their withdrawal in recent days. After withdrawing from last week's Rocket Mortgage Classic because of a positive COVID-19 test, Masters champion Hideki Matsuyama has continued to test positive in subsequent PCR tests, despite saying he's symptom-free. The withdrawals of Matthew Wolff, K.H. Lee, and Danny Lee were announced on Saturday, and Kevin Na, because of the travel restrictions, Sun Gae-in, and Siwoo Kim, who are preparing for the Olympics, had previously withdrew. So it's a tough thing with the COVID, it's just a lot of guys went over early, self quarantine. I know a lot of them were over there to play in the Scottish Open as well. Phil Mickelson, I think Justin Thomas, and Rory McIlroy, um, John Rahm, bunch of the big names all went over already. So, uh, you know, uh, but the UK is got some strict regulations and they're sticking to it, and they have to. It's just a terrible thing, this COVID, and while we're trying to get back to normal, there's still some protocols and restrictions on what can be done and what you can do, and some of these players just either couldn't meet the criteria or had other things that they wished to accomplish in the case of the two gentlemen preparing for the Olympics. Now, John Rahm was over there. He contended at the Scottish Open, and though he came up short, he still finished in a decent seventh place. But despite that, he has been knocked off his throne. When the official world golf rankings were updated on Monday, Rahm's 3-week run as the number one player ended. He has 2 wins, highlighted by his breakthrough at the U.S. Open and a whopping 14 top 10 finishes in his last 22 starts, but he'll be replaced by Dustin Johnson as the number one player in the world. Those two are going to battle, I think, back and forth as time goes on. Uh, two fine golfers, and be interesting as the battle goes on. We have to find some sort of battle. And now that Tiger is laid up, and um, Phil's getting older, Tiger's getting older, so we're not going to see them as much. So it's nice to have a rivalry. And talking about a rivalry, the Kepker DeChambeau feud is still going on, and I don't know how you feel about it. You can let me know by dropping me an email at talkinggolf@gmail.com. But I'm not a big fan of these kind of things. I'm not a big fan of Kepka to begin with. I think to me, he is almost like a hired gun would be in baseball. I don't see a lot of loyalty to the game there. He looks at it as a business, which it is. But you talk to a lot of golfers, and there's a certain passion for the game and the history of the game, and he seems to be lacking that. I could be totally wrong. It's just something that I perceive, but uh, just something I feel that is really lacking with him. So, um, and it's so petty that the way it started, he was talking about the Shambo. They had a meeting, and they thought they came to a truce, and then Deschambeau said something about Kepker, so now he feels it's open grant. It's fair game to criticize and say whatever he wants to. Um, I think the press is kind of using it a little bit because they like that bit of tension. For years, they used this years ago. Used to be Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus didn't get along, and he turned out to be the best of friends. uh Phil and Tiger, there's some animosity, or they're not exactly buddy buddy, but look, they get along. Though Kepka did say that in the Ryder Cup there would be no problem being a teammate of Bryson DeChambeau. That when it comes to business, he can put things aside and just take care of business. So we'll see. Um, like I said, I'm not a big fan of these sort of things, but they're what makes money, and I guess keeps golf in the news. That people nowadays like that kind of thing. And by the way, Bryson DeChambeau has a new caddy, and he's going to be working with him for the first time at the Open Championship. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays with his game. Having somebody new on the bag, playing on a course that he never really played before. They've been out there, of course, now this past week, but that should be very interesting. Okay, let's take a break and be back. And the 2021 Open Championship odds. Here are some of the contenders and what they are, the betting odds are as of Tuesday or Monday, actually. John Rahm is 9-1. Rory McIlroy 11-1. Dustin Johnson 12-1. Bryson DeChambeau is 14-1, as is Brooks Koepka. Jordan Spieth 18-1. Justin Thomas is 20-1. Xander Schauffele 20-1. Tommy Fleetwood, a local boy, 28-1. Louis Oosthuizen is 28-1. Tyrell Hatton 28-1. Patrick Cantley 30-1. Justin Rose 33-1. Victor Hovland 40-1. Paul Casey, another Englishman, 40-1. Patrick Reed 40-1. Colin Morikawa 40-1. Let's see, Sergio Garcia is at 50-1, as is Lee Westwood and Phil Mickelson, and Ricky Fowler is 50-1. Matt Kuchar 66-1. Harris English 66-1. And the list goes on and gets higher. The highest or the lowest to win, the longest odds to win, I should say, is Todd Hamilton at 2,000-1, as is Mark Calcavecchia. So there's some of the favorites for the 149th British Open coming up this week, the Open Championship, I should say. And who's your favorite? I know that I am looking for. I'd like to see Ricky Fowler win, but I'm looking for really, I think Justin Thomas has got a shot. Victor Hovland's got a good shot as well. Of course, John Rahm, everybody's favorite pick right now, but I'm going to go against that. And I'm going to go for Justin Thomas. Let's just do that. And my long shot would be I'm going to say Harris English. He's playing well right now, and who knows? And Royal St. George's, if you watched any of the Golf Channel coverage, you'll see is quite a quirky golf course. It is lumpy and bumpy and nooks and crannies all over the place, and that's part of the charm. Some people say it's not really. You have to have a lot of luck on this course. You can hit a drive right down the middle, perfect as could be. It could just hit and go bounce off into an oddball situation. So, should be interesting thing. Thursday, the weather is supposed to be rainy and bad, I think, but the rest of the rounds, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is supposed to be spot on with the weather. It's supposed to be beautiful. So, rain may not have anything to do with it, as it so often does in the Open. So we'll have to see how that all works out as we get along. All right. Now let's take a look at the schedule for this week. As I said, it's the Open Championship. Shane Lowry is the defending champion, and he's had the title for 2 years because we haven't played the Open last year. So he has the title. The PGA is also having an off event. They are playing the Barbasol Championship. Jim Herman is the champion there, defending there. The Champions Tour is off after their big major tournament, and they're going into another major tournament the following week as they go to England to play the Senior Open Championship. The LPGA is playing the Dow Great Lakes Bay Invitational. And of course, as I said, the Euro Tour is playing the Open, and the Corn Ferry Tour is playing the Memorial Health Championship. So that's all the schedule across the world of golf. And the big thing, of course, is the Open. And, everybody has different feelings about it. To me, it's one of my favorites. I think the Masters, if you would have ranked the majors, the Masters would be number one for me. The Open would be number two, and then probably the PGA and the US Open. They're interchangeable. But the Open is just a certain mystique to it. There's history. When you look at those courses, there's so much history wrapped up into it. So I just love it. In the background here, you see the 18th at St. Andrews, the old course, and that will be the host, I believe, next year for the 150th Open Championship. So that should be a good one. I love watching them play at St. Andrews. In fact, there's a fellow YouTuber, James Robinson, recently played at St. Andrews, and it's fascinating to see the course from a different point of view without people on it, as far as spectators and things, and no stands, and it's just it was fascinating to watch. So you can check that out at James Robinson Golf. But it's just something about watching the Open Championship, the weather, the as I said, the mystique behind it, the history is just incredible. These courses are so packed with history, and I get into that kind of stuff. And old Tom Morris and young Tom Morris. So I'm going to enjoy this week. Probably a lot of late nights or early mornings or whatever you want to call it to try to catch some of the action. But one of my favorites, the Open Championship. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I want to thank you all for listening. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or Apple Podcast, Anchor, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, wherever you listen or watch the podcast. Hit that subscribe button. It helps me grow the show and expand to new listeners. You can also help me support the show by going to anchor.fm/chipshots and leaving a donation through Anchor right there. Hit that support button. It'll tell you what you have to do. Anyway, thank you all for your support. The people are starting to watch and listen to the show, and I appreciate it very much. So until next time, remember, as you walk down the fairway of life, you must smell the roses, for you only get to play one round. Again, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time on another edition of Chip Shots.